Happy Tuesday. Thank you so much for joining us again for another Tuesday of Mindful Movements. Just before we start, just so you look around really quickly and make sure that there's like nothing in your way, no books or cords, and that you have a safe surface to be on that's not slippery. Okay, so we're going to start either seated or lying on our backs. So I'll give you a couple of moments to figure out if you want to stay seated. If you have tight hips, you can sit up on a block or a bolster. We always start these sessions with about 5 to 10 minutes of meditation. So you want to make sure that you're in a supportive shape. I'm sitting right now. If you come onto your back, it's probably most helpful on your back to have your knees bent and your arms just down by your side. And then either seated or lying back, just pausing for a moment, giving your body time just to feel some stillness, to draw some attention, some awareness inward. It's pretty easy for us to get distracted and leave our bodies during our busy days. So having a few moments just to settle. And with choiceful awareness coming to your physical body. Feeling how your body connects to the ground, to the surface, to the earth beneath you. You might feel your sit bones if you're sitting. You might feel your pelvis, the back of your ribs, your shoulders, your head if you're lying back. Connecting your body to the earth, helping provide some stability, helping the physical body feel a little more anchored and grounded. Noting your present time experience. Using curiosity and kindness. Working on letting go of self-judgment. Bringing choiceful awareness to your breath. What do you notice? What do you feel as you take a moment, prioritizing your breathing? If you're feeling a little anxious or upregulated, you might find it helpful to exhale through your mouth and inhale through your nose. And your breath like a wave. Your awareness connecting to the rise and the fall of your authentic breath. Noting your present time experience. You might note the relationship of your body, your physical body, with your breathing. With choiceful awareness, with curiosity and kindness. Noticing your mind, noticing your thoughts, noticing the mental landscape. Noting your present time experience. And then blending this relationship of our bodies with our breath, with our thoughts, with this mental landscape. Practicing being aware of the present moment sensations. We'll take the next few moments here, maybe 30 seconds in silence. Coming back to your body, to your breath, to your mind. So that gentle reminder, maybe your mind wandered way, way off, away from the breath. Just to let you know that's okay. That's what minds do. They wander away. We practice the awareness of how we bring the attention back to the breathing. So sitting for another 30 seconds, knowing it's just fine if your mind wanders away. Being curious and kind. Staying a little more anchored and grounded. Being present with our breathing. Coming back, bringing your awareness back to your body, breathing with kindness, with curiosity. Take 3 breaths. And when you feel your 3rd exhale, if you're on your back, you're going to slowly roll over. And we're going to all figure out how to come on up to standing. So I'm going to spend a lot of the time today just up on our feet, going over some standing poses and moving from a place of upright. So we'll come on up. If you need a chair or a wall to balance, go grab a chair, go grab a, maybe stand by the wall. We're gonna start with our feet wide. We'll take our heels in and our toes out, okay? And there's no perfect formula for how wide your feet are gonna go, okay? So everyone's really different. If you go out really, really wide, this might not feel really grounded for you. So you might walk your feet in. You just wanna feel really strong and stable from this place, okay? And so you're gonna bring your hands up on your pelvis. So we wanna define the pelvic bowl to start. So you have your front hip points, right? And if you have front hip points, we have back hip points, okay? And so the bowl is upright. And then from there, we're gonna go up to the lower ribs, right? And we might think of the lower ribs a little bit like a bowl, like if we tip over or we go back, right? So these lower hip points, just finding those hip points and rib points in space and having them a little more stacked, okay? Now it doesn't have to be exact. It's more of a feeling and understanding, right, that we're really defining midline. So then we have the shoulders, and right, sometimes the shoulders round forward. So shoulders can draw back, but right, more of a natural drawing back, not so much that they push your rib points forward, okay? So we'll just explore these 3 points, giving yourself a little bit of time. Shoulders in a relationship to the ribs, in a relationship to the hips. There's a lot happening. And then if we want a little more, your ears, right? So not ears forward, ears over shoulders, shoulders a little more stacked over ribs, ribs stacked over hips, right? And then the hands can come to the pelvis. And we just want to tuck the chin a little bit and look down and just watch the knees as we go up and down in a sumo squat a few times. So we want to just really make sure that your knees are tracking out over your middle toes. Heels can stay down. If you're really tight in your ankles, sure, you bet. Let your heels come up. And then heels can come down as you come up, okay? So we're just gonna go up and down. And everyone's gonna go at a pace that they feel safe and comfortable going at. And if you want more challenge, the challenge comes from paying attention to your breathing. So as you feel your exhale, you'll go down. And when you feel your inhale, you'll come up. Okay, so we'll spend a little extra time here. Let's do maybe 5 more. If you're tired, rest, pause. Only bend your knees as far as your knees say it's okay. So I'm going a little low. Maybe you're only bending like an inch. That's great. Just trying to move in relationship to your breathing. Good, and then we'll come all the way back up. Let your arms hang. And then a little more challenging, we're gonna bring your arms out in front. Okay, so when your arms come out in front, you might imagine you're hugging a big tree. Okay, and we're gonna inhale, take the arms out wide. Exhale, let the arms come back. Let's do 2 more. And then bring the arms down. So coming back to define your midline. Hips, pelvis, lower ribs, shoulders, ears. Right? So just feeling your body proprioceptively in space. Right? We're just going to take one arm up. You can pick. I'm choosing my left arm. I'm going to bring your right hand around onto your lower rib cage. And then we're just going to explore the relationship between your core. Okay, so we're going to define your core from the front of your shoulder, back of your shoulder, down the sideline, right into your pelvis. So kind of this rectangle. Okay, so we're going to define your core here, and we're going to try and take your arm out and see if we can keep this lower rib stacked a little more over that hip bone. Okay, meaning when you take your left arm out, try not to push your chest or your ribs forward. So it's not this. It's more stability through the core, shoulder blade, arm mobility. So you might feel that shoulder blade in relationship to your arm and working on stability. So we stay nice and stable. We'll do 2 more. And then we'll switch sides. Right arm can come out, crossing your hand over on your left lower rib or right lower ribs, moving that arm out and back. Now, if you have a big thought bubble, like what are we doing? That's a good thing. Thought bubbles help keep us curious and in our bodies. So lower rib, pelvic crest, right? Nice and strong through there. Perhaps it's a little more challenging for you to feel your shoulder blade moving on your back. Shoulder blade moves and arm moves. Let's try about 3 more. Then when your right arm comes back, let's do both arms. So you're going to take both arms out and then both arms together. Okay, now how steady, right, and grounded can we be? If you want more challenge, heels come in, toes go out, and we go up and down, moving legs and arms. Let's try 3 more. If you need to lift your heels, lift your heels. Good, last one, we'll come up and take the arms down, kind of shake things out. And then as things shake out, just let them slow down to some stillness, and we're just gonna stand in whatever shape you feel most supported, strong in. We're gonna take a 5-breath, short, meaningful body scan, checking in, see how you feel. You might come back to your relationship to grounding, to breathing. You might check in with the mental landscape. Take a full exhale and then step your feet together if they're not already. All right, so hands coming back on your pelvis. Okay, pelvis, ribs. Okay, so this pausing right here for a moment. Right? So oftentimes you might have heard in different classes and movement classes, knit your ribs. Right? So we say this a lot. I feel like I'm a broken record. I automatically say it. Knit your ribs. So here are your ribs. And so we're going to knit them, right? Have this like feeling sensation, maybe even a visualization. But when you exhale, this is what happens. The ribs draw together. And then the front ribs also draw back a little bit. Okay? So there's a lot of connection here from the bones of the ribs to the abdominal muscles. So see if you can understand a little more of what that might mean to knit the ribs. Okay, and that helps keep those lower ribs, right, from jutting forward. When we jut forward like this, we compress the low back, right? And I get a lot of complaints, like my low back is really tight. If we can find this upper abdominal strength, this lower rib, it's gonna help give more length and space to the lower mid back there. Okay, so why is this important? We're gonna look at doing a high lunge. So you're gonna step your left foot back. When we step that left foot back, I'm gonna have this hip awareness. So the pelvis facing a little more straightish ahead. And I say ish because it doesn't have to be exact, okay? And then the pelvic crest to the low ribs again. If we're really tight in this hip, it's really easy to step this leg back and jet the ribs forward. So again, upper abdominals help knit, okay? So just this awareness, this attention, it takes time and patience to really understand it and embody it, to really feel it and become it in our body. So give yourself a lot of time and patience, okay? So your left foot's back a little bit, hands can stay here. And then we're gonna take your left thigh bone, right? And just press it back. We're gonna lift up through that left hip point, okay? So thigh bone, hip point. Two different things happening. Thigh bone goes back, hip point lifts. I'm gonna try and keep that really lifted and strong back there. And then bend and straighten your right knee 5 times. You can move from your breathing, exhale, bend. Inhale, straighten. Maybe you try to relax a little bit through your chest, through your shoulders, through your face. And then the next time your right knee has a little bend, pause. Okay? Your left heel's still really lifted. You can lift up through your hips, then recheck in. I started to kind of tip back, right? So with that awareness, right, we're gonna do a body scan. Ooh, lower ribs, pelvis. What's happening? What do you notice? What do you feel in your low back? Right? If it's crampy, tight in your low back, maybe you need to straighten your right leg a little bit. If you want more challenge, taking your arms forward and up. Less challenge, no big deal. Bring your hands to your hips, right? If you have to keep your hands on your hips, it doesn't mean you're not good at this. It just means you have to keep your hands on your hips. And take 3 breaths, noticing, feeling. Try not to judge yourself. Be kind, be curious. And then with an exhale, feel the ground and step both feet together. And shake that pose out. And then when you're ready, right, reconnect to the earth. Take a couple breaths. When you're ready, either slide or pick your foot up and slide your right foot back. Heel stays lifted. Maybe you put your hands on your lower ribs and your hips together. Right? Kinesthetic touch feedback can be really helpful. Okay? So again, line those points up. Okay? Take your thigh bone. Right thigh bone pushes back. Hip points lift. So you're probably feeling a little more work in your core because this is somewhat of a balance. Especially as we add that bend and straighten in the front left knee. Try to keep your heel lifted. Maybe you move from your breathing. Most importantly, you just keep breathing, right? If you were standing in a room with me, you would see me shaking. So if you're shaking, you might have to find more grounding like I do. Then when your left knee's bent, pause. Okay? It's really easy to bring tension and tightness up into your shoulders here. Try to hold this a little more from your chest. So if you're someone who automatically kind of grips and pulls up in their shoulders, check in with yourself. Try and let your shoulders relax enough that you don't feel that you're going to fall over, right? Sometimes if I let my shoulders totally relax, I feel like I'm going to totally fall. So I just let them go a little bit, right? Learning my patterns. So what works for you? Maybe come back to those lower ribs, abdominals, right? Maybe you take your arms up, right? Maybe you just take your arms up for a second and say, whoa, I don't want to do that, right? Work where you feel the most connected to your body breathing. We'll pause here for 3 or 4 breaths. And then when you're ready, exhale, feel the ground, step both feet together. Gonna shake things out. We're gonna take another wide stride. Heels are gonna come in, toes are gonna go out. Okay? And we're gonna go up and down again in that sumo squat. Check, knees going over your middle toes. And we're gonna do 5 more just to move from your breath, okay? Gentle reminder, you don't have to bend your knees very far. Exhale, bend. Inhale, straighten. Good, and then come all the way on up. Okay, we're gonna turn your feet so they're facing forward. Okay. I'm gonna give you the side view. So right here is your hip crease, right? Just below your hip point, okay? So we're gonna work on folding forward. So if you already know that you have tight hamstrings and a tight low back, right away, just give your knees a little bend, okay? So we're gonna work on folding from this hip crease, okay? So my hands kind of wrinkled up there. I'm just gonna put my hands in there if you feel comfortable doing that, right? Just so that my body feels that point first. You're gonna push that soft tissue back, bring the hip points forward, and tip over. You can go over as far as you like. Then you're gonna come back up. Want to go 4 more times slow. As you tip over, going slow enough for 2 things. We want to feel the weight shifting a little more out into the balls of your feet. And we really want to pay attention to the relationship of your low back and your hamstrings, the back of your legs, okay? So as you go over, right, you don't want to feel too much strain in your low back. We don't want to force anything. So if you know your low back's really tight, bend your knees more. We'll do 1 more. After this one, we'll come all the way back on up to standing. Okay, and then we're just gonna let our arms hang. Pause, eyes open or eyes closed. We're gonna check in and take about a 5 breath, short, very meaningful body scan. So, and feeling your body in space with curiosity again, with kindness. Just practicing being in our bodies as we stand, as we breathe. Good. The next exhale, we'll take the full exhale out of your mouth. Great, and then we're going to add on to that high lunge. So, you're going to step your left foot back, okay? So you can either slide your leg back, right, or pick it up and slide it back and find, right, your high lunge. So, I think I should probably say build your high lunge, right? So you're building this shape, right? And if we're going to build a building, we start with a foundation. So where's your foundation? And then building your shape from the ground up. So feet to legs to pelvis, right? Pelvis to those lower ribs through that strong abdominal area, okay? Up through the shoulders, up through your neck and head, okay? So we're gonna practice here, right? Is taking that thigh bone, left thigh bone again, back, lifting the pelvis up, okay? So pelvis like a bowl, lifting up, opening this left front hip, okay? Now, the challenge is gonna be tipping over. So just like we did in that last exercise before this, we tipped over a little bit. So just come a couple inches, we'll incrementally tip over more, tuck your chin and look down, and check that your knee is going over your middle toe, okay? Now, some of us might find it helpful to imagine we're squeezing a block, okay? So if you're squeezing a block between your inner thighs, like you're pulling the energy in without losing your connection to the ground. It's a little bit of up energy, okay? And then we come up. So we're gonna spend the next maybe 30 seconds incrementally going a little more into flexion, okay? Now you might just go 1 inch. That is a lot of work, okay? So if you're only coming an inch, pat yourself on the back. That's a lot of work. Some of us might be wanting to come over. Back heel stays up the whole time. And we just move at a pace that allows us to stay curious and in our bodies, okay? So working here just a few more times. And the next time you come up, we'll pause. If you want more challenge, take the arms up. Exhale, step your feet together. Pause. Come back into your body. Give yourself a moment. Short, meaningful body scan. And building your high lunge on the opposite side. Taking your right foot, stepping it back. Just like you were building a building from the ground up, pause to find your stability from the feet to the legs to the pelvis, okay? Up through the abdominals and the shoulders, head and neck. Right thigh bone presses back. Pelvis lifts up, right? Check in, right? So what's happening? What do you feel in your low back? If you're pushing your belly button forward, you might feel compression, tightness, right? It's really easy to come into your low lunge like this, right? So again, that awareness, lower ribs, that idea, understanding of knitting. And then each one of us take about 30 seconds working on that flexion piece, tipping, coming up, right? You might only tip a couple inches. That's a lot. Try to add the challenge of letting your head come last, okay? So pelvis, ribs, shoulders, head. You might think about squeezing a block. My left glute is getting really tired. If we were all in the room together, you would see me shaking. Maybe try 1 or 2 more. If you're really tired, pause. And then we'll bring your arms up. And with your exhale, step both feet together. Good, let's take your feet wide. So I'm gonna go sideways. Toes facing forward, soft bend in your knee, okay? So shoulders are gonna stay a little more open, okay? So we're going to just tip forward again and try and keep a little more openness through the shoulders. Now, what can be really challenging is oftentimes when we say like open up across your chest or keep your shoulders back, we'll squeeze the shoulder blades so much that we pinch, okay? So we're not looking to pinch the shoulder blades so much that we get cramps there. So we're going to bring some attention to the back of your heart. Let your arms hang, right? And then as you tip, nice and wide through the front of your armpits across your chest. Nice and wide win-win alignment across your upper back. We're just going to fold and come up 3 times. So if you're watching, right, we're not rounding. We're not coming forward like this and hugging or squeezing the armpits together. We're trying to keep the armpits really nice and wide, so there's lots of space. And then the next time you tip forward, we're going to bring your hands onto your thigh bones. Tuck your chin. A little bit like earlier, bring the weight a little more forward into the balls of your feet. That's going to help your lower abdominals turn on. And we're going to hold here if you need to, bend your knees. We're just going to see what it feels like to take 3 intentional breaths through and into your back. So big back lung breaths. What does that feel like? You can exhale through your mouth. And then ground down when you're ready. Inhale, come all the way up. Step your feet together. Take a 5-breath, short, meaningful body scan. Just noticing your present time experience. We're going to do 3 half sun salutations, okay? So arms hang down. Take a nice full inhale. Might feel that a little more as it widens across your back. With your exhale, arms come out and up. Inhale, bend your knees, fold forward. Exhale, lift your chest. Inhale, fold. Exhale, come all the way up. Inhale, arms to your side. Take a free breath here. A nice wide inhale to spread the ribs. Full exhale. With your next exhale, arms go out to come up. Inhale, fold. Exhale, chest lifts, look out. Good. Inhale, fold. Exhale, come all the way up. Inhale, arms to your side. One more time, just take a moment, take a free breath. And when you're ready with your exhale, arms float out to come up. Inhale, long spine fold. Inhale, chest lifts. Exhale, fold. Good. Exhale, come all the way up. Inhale, arms to the side. 3 breaths. Short, meaningful, standing body scan. And then when you feel your next exhale, we're going to transition down to the floor again. So you can transition if you're, do a lot of yoga and you want to do a sun salutation, go through downward facing dog and find your way onto your back, go for it. If you want to just come down and kneel like I did, great. We're going to come all the way back down onto our backs. So we're going to be back in this constructive rest pose. Right, from here, we'll just bring both knees right up over your hip points. Hold on to the back of the legs, and we're just going to do a little gentle hamstring stretching. Okay. So just, lifting and lowering your heels. You could point and flex in your ankle, heel a little bit. And then we'll just hold the feet up and take a couple breaths, stretching through your hamstrings. And then with your next full exhale, you can let your legs come down. Bring the arms up. And just take the arms out and up a few times, stretching. Move from your breathing. So you breathe and then you move. One more time. And then when your arms exhale back up to the ceiling, we'll bring them down. And we'll just take the last few minutes to rest on your back. So you could keep your knees bent. You could outstretch your legs. Perhaps you prefer seated meditation, so you could come all the way on up to sitting. Coming full circle. Reconnecting to grounding, to feeling your body in space, and how your body connects to the earth beneath you. Choiceful awareness, relationship of your body, knowing the ground will hold you up. This might be a really nice time to just practice letting go. If you feel safe, you feel supported. Take the next 2 or 3 minutes just in silence. Just gently noting your present time experience. Coming back to your physical body, the relationship of your body breathing. Noting the mental landscape. As you feel 2 more full exhales, with that second exhale, just gently starting to wake up your body. And wiggle your fingers and your toes. Might feel good to draw your knees into your chest, or you might like a full body stretch. Just noticing how it feels to move. that awareness practice of movement. And then you can start to slowly draw your knees in and roll over to one side. And then we'll slowly all make our way on up to sitting. And then as you come up to sitting, if you want to take your arms up and kind of just do like an upper body stretch, feel free to do that. Thank you everyone so much for taking time out of your really busy lives to take care of yourself and come to practice with all of us. It really means a lot. So thank you so much. We have a really wonderful, strong, supportive community. So thanks for being part of that. I'm going to go down and start the Q&A. So if you want to stick around or you have a question, the first question is, please explain knitting the ribs again. Do the fingers, ribs come in on the inhale? The ribs, actually, fingers come in on the exhale. So when you exhale, inhale. Right? Exhale, inhale. And if I can remember to make a note of it, we'll go over it next week. Yeah. So if you just put your hands down on your ribs, you might feel that like when you exhale and when you inhale. And if you like the imagery of like the skeleton of the ribs actually breathing, my guess is you can do an internet search and look for a video of like rib movement when you're breathing. And sometimes those videos are worth 1,000 or 10,000 words. You can just watch, a computerized rib cage move, and then you can see that and use that visualization in your practice. Yeah. Hey, all right. It looks like we don't have any more questions. I got a lot of thank yous. So I would say a lot of thank yous to you too. So thanks for showing up.